think we can get started. Welcome to today's session. We're presenting Save on Energy's existing building commissioning program. And we're joined today by Brennan Sedeby and Felbin Zacharias. They're going to be giving an overview of the program itself and the benefits of recommissioning, as well as the incentives available for your projects. We will also walk through where to locate additional information, tools, and resources to support your recommissioning projects. Before we get started, I just want to go through a few housekeeping notes. First of all, I am recording the session, and the recording will be made available on Save on Energy's website in 1 to 2 weeks. All attendees will also receive a copy of the presentation via email within a few days. Feel free to turn your cameras on. We do like to see everybody's faces if you're brave enough to do that. We might mute the audience throughout just to eliminate background noise, but we encourage participation. So if you have a question, please raise your hand or type it in the chat. We also have a lot of time reserved at the back end for open Q&A. And with that, I will hand it off to Brennan.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. Appreciate that. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Just doing a quick little flick through the attendance list. It's great to see so many people here today. Just want to quickly introduce myself, Brennan Sedeby. I am the Outreach Manager for the Save on Energy existing building commissioning program. I'm also here today with my colleague who will take the latter half of the presentation. Felbin, if you want to say hi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Felbin. I'm an Associate Account Manager for the existing building commissioning program.
Wonderful. So welcome to today's session. As mentioned by Megan, we're here to talk about the existing building commissioning program overview. We'll be giving a brief overview of the benefits of retro commissioning and the incentives available for your project. As Megan noted, I'm quite open for open questions, conversations. Feel free to interrupt me at any point. I actually don't mind. I encourage that. I tend to think if somebody has a question, probably 10 others on the call have the same question. So happy to field those as we go. If you don't have a question or aren't asking a question at the moment, please mute yourself if you would. If I don't have a ready answer for you in the moment, I'll circle back to it at the end of the presentation as well. We've got a team in the chat here that can take all of those. We'll circle back, answer everything as we get to it. So really appreciate that. With that, we'll move on. So what is existing building commissioning, or the EBCx program? This program is designed to help and incentivize owners, operators, managers of commercial and institutional buildings improve their energy management by implementing best practices to reduce waste, enhance comfort, and increase profitability. Participants of the program will realize energy savings from improved facility operations and maintenance best practices. The next slide here. So by implementing these best practices, what key benefits can one expect to see? The benefits can be numerous and depend on your facility type. Some of the key points we want to highlight today are as follows. Increased profitability and property value. By reducing overall operating costs on sites, prolonging equipment life cycles, and reducing waste, one can drive higher profits, property value, and desirability for your location. You can see enhanced occupant comfort. By evaluating and improving facility operation and management, you can drive higher air quality and reduce noise, improving the comfort level for those on site. You can reduce your environmental impact. So by engaging a commissioning provider or CP, they can help evaluate your operation and identify ways to reduce your carbon footprint. And finally, here you can develop continuous improvement mindset. So your CP will also help to improve your ongoing building management practices and implement a continuous process for reevaluation. Diligence in evaluating your operation will help drive ongoing savings and value for you and those on site. Excuse me a moment, battling asthma and allergies here. Just going to take a sip of water. Thanks. Wonderful. So moving to the next slide here. Talking about an overview of the EBCx program, So with some of the benefits of commissioning established, let's quickly have an overview of what the Save on Energy EBCx program offers. So this program is open for commercial and institutional businesses. We offer incentives for participants to hire a commissioning provider to undertake the building retro commissioning process. These CPs will evaluate your organization and train program participants to engage in ongoing commissioning processes and integrate areas of improvement into your standard management practices. Ultimately, this program is designed to help businesses save energy, reduce costs, and increase productivity. Moving to our next slide here, we can discuss eligibility for a facility to participate in this program. So a facility must have a minimum of 12 months continuous energy data and consume at minimum 750,000 kilowatt hour per year, excluding industrial and manufacturing processes. So just want to have a point of clarity here too. If you are an industrial or manufacturer here, we still encourage you to engage with the program as there's likely many non-process ECMs eligible for the program. And to define that earlier point here as well, continuous energy data can be as simple as your energy bills, but please work with your CP to find the most relevant insights for you and your facility. The facility must not have undertaken retro commissioning in the last 2 years or be participating in a building certification program that requires EBCx as a prerequisite. So again, note of clarity is there. If you are participating in a building certificate program that may have retro commissioning as an element, though you're not pursuing it towards, say, your points, you may still be eligible for this program, and it could actually be a good augment to what you are currently undertaking. And finally, the facility and participant must be working with a commissioning provider that is on the approved qualified commissioning provider list, and I'll show you how to navigate to that and view it in a moment. Moving to our next slide here. So now that we have an understanding of the benefits of retro commissioning and the eligibility requirements to participate, we'll speak to the incentives available for participants. There are 3 incentivized phases within the program, and we encourage all participants to progress through each phase. First, we start with the investigation phase. So based on the investigation report prepared by your CP, incentives are up to 6 cents per square foot and the lesser of $50,000 or 75% of eligible costs incurred in this phase. Next, we have the implementation phase. So this is where recommended energy efficient processes are implemented. Incentives of 3 cents per kilowatt hour of confirmed energy savings to the lesser of $50,000 or 30% savings of facilities kilowatt hours as defined per the baseline model that was discovered here. And finally, we have the persistence phase where CPs are training to maintain persistent system process improvements. Incentives of 3 cents per kilowatt hour of confirmed energy savings to the lesser of $50,000 or 30% savings of facilities kilowatt hours as per the baseline model. So in totality, we have a potential of up to $150,000 in incentives as we investigate, implement, and maintain persistent energy savings. Just going to pause here at the moment if there was any questions, anything that came up during this period. Nobody interrupted me, which is always nice to see here. But feel free to ask any sort of questions from this point forward. I am going to hand it over to my colleague, Felbin, who will speak to the ideal candidates for this program. Thank you.
Thanks, Brennan. So how do we know if your facility is right for EBCx? Here you will see some indicators for the EBCx potential. If your facility is often using control overrides, experiencing simultaneous heating or cooling, poor building pressurization, poor indoor air quality, deferred maintenance issues, and complaints from occupants revolving around comfort. Next slide, please. So once you have determined that your facility is eligible for the program and your facility may be exhibiting some indicators for recommissioning, some of the measures that would be able to apply under EBCs include occupant behavior measures, set point and scheduling optimization, air and water balancing, other operational and maintenance changes, and equipment repair and minor replacement. This program is focused on no-cost, low-cost energy conservation measures.
Thanks, Felbin. We did have a question come in just now. Where does the funding for incentives come from? The question is whether it's federal or provincial.
It's a provincial funding.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Megan. So Let's get into some common EBCs measures. In addition to the measures just shown, we also wanted to share some additional common measures for EBCs. The listed 10 are the most common measures, but out of these, process optimization or scheduling optimization measure are the most popular in the program. As a kind reminder, all measures will be subject to a technical review. If you're unsure if there's a measure your facility is looking to undertake is eligible, please reach out to the program to discuss with our technical review team. Contact details will be provided at the end of this presentation. So next slide, please. So how to get started? If you're interested in participating in EBCs, this is how you would get started. First, assess your facility meets some minimum eligibility requirements and has potential eligible measures. Engage with one of our qualified commission providers, which can be found on Save on Energy website. On right here, you will see where the head offices of our commission providers are located. Majority of our commission providers services the entire province of Ontario. Once a commitment with a qualified commission provider has been made, the commission providers will continue with the program process and phases on applicants' behalf. It's worth mentioning that applicant does not have an active role in this program. The application and reporting process is all done through the commissioning provider. On to the next slide. Some important program dates. The deadline for application submission, which is December 31st, 2024, and deadline for persistence completion is December 31st, 2027. Interest to become a qualified commissioning provider is ongoing, and we are always happy to welcome other organizations to the program, pending they meet the program requirements. To the next slide. Online resources. We wanted to highlight there are some useful online resources regarding the EBCs program, which can be found on the Save on Energy website, which includes program requirements, program brochure, participant agreement, MNV guide, webinars, and fact sheet. Additional resources are always being added to the website, so please be sure to check back. Next to fact sheets and guides, Brennan will take you to some online resources and fact sheets. Over to you, Brennan.
Yeah, thank you, Felben. So I'm going to grab control here so that I can share my screen. Currently up on the screen, we had some examples of some of our fact sheets and guides. These are great resources that you can leverage for your conversations, and I like to show you how to find them. So we're just going to share our screen here. Teams always likes to minimize itself when we do that. Let's bring it back up. Perfect. Just a quick confirmation, you can see my screen, Megan?
Yep.
Wonderful, thank you. So to navigate to the EBCx page here from the Save on Energy homepage, you can click on your For Businesses and Contractors tab, and then Programs and Incentives. And from here, it will take you to, oops, right here, Programs and Incentives, sorry, and then our existing building commissioning program. Now, this might change depending on new programs that are launched or reorganization, but it should be listed here within the programs. So you can click on that link here, and it will take you to the EBCx program overview site. So just a quick little scroll through here so I can show you some key points. It will cover some benefits to your organization, some tips on how to get started, what does the program offer, and maybe some links here if you are a prospective commissioning provider that would like to sign up for the program. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we can talk about the phases that we covered in this presentation, and finally, our commissioning providers. There's an interactive map here, so you can click on or zoom in to get more details. And if you'd like a full list of the commissioning providers, just going to switch tabs. By clicking on, by clicking on the link here at the top of the tab, this will bring you into a PDF copy of the qualified commissioning provider list. This will cover some high-level details like company name, contact name, phone, email, and service region. So I'll do a quick scroll of this as well, but I encourage you to go to the website and click through.
Can you explain what that service region column really means?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Megan. So the service region would be where that CP has identified they operate based on your FSA or your postal code. So these regions, these letters will highlight those FSA regions that they operate in. Thank you. Great question. Now, flipping back to the web page, if we continue to scroll down, there are some more resources for existing building commissioning. So I'm just going to click over to my next tab. When we click on that link, it should take you to this page here for the existing building commissioning program, or sorry, existing building commissioning overview page. There are quite a few other resources, as Felben mentioned, listed on this web page. As we noted on the last slide, there are some of the fact sheets and guides. But before that, we've got some previous webinars that are listed here and some hot links to take you down. So there's webinars. As we scroll through here, we can see the fact sheets that were leveraged and the practical guides. If I quickly click into those, again, not going to read the content here. I encourage you to head to the website here, download these for yourself. But I did want to highlight these are fantastic pieces that were developed that will give you a little bit more depth towards how EBCx may be relevant for you, what the process looks like, and some key benefits for your organization. As noted back here, so the presenter controls are in the way, but there are specific fact sheets for condos, apartments, and dorms, medical buildings, offices, and warehouses. And finally, on that same page, if it lets me click, beautiful, we have our practical guide for building owners and managers. Again, I won't read through the whole thing, but this is a wonderful document that will give you a little bit more information and insights on the benefits of EBCx, what you can expect, and what the process may look like. Again, just a quick scroll through here so you can see the depth of information. Now I think we will flip it back, Megan, if you want to grab control here. I can stop sharing my screen. Oh, and I see a hand up as well.
Yeah, we do have a question.
Wonderful. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So my question is that so the participants, they hire and pay the commissioning provider, right?
That's correct.
So like the cost is like per square feet for the provider, or it's like how
where the costs come for your investigation phase or for the overall process?
And I mean the overall cost associated with the commissioning provider is per square feet, or like how do we?
I can't speak on behalf of how the CPs are going to conduct their business, but I think at a high level overview, each of them are going to give you their summary and their costing and the incentivize for this program. And if we can click back maybe to a couple of the incentivization slides. Because there are no realized savings at that point, we have designed the program, or the program is designed to incentivize based on square footage without those realized savings, so that we can help encourage that investigation phase as determined by the CP. I hope that answers your question. It's not a direct response to, but I encourage you to reach out to a CP who will be able to give you more information on how they conduct their billing.
Thank you.
Thank you. See another hand up.
Teresa, go ahead.
Hey, Brennan, how are you?
Hi, Teresa. Yeah, nice to see you. Doing well.
Yeah, you too, Felben. Hello. I have
Yeah.
a question following the first question. So I understand hire and pay to get the investigation phase. From that phase, do they go into the implementation phase cost or a provider? Or is that something we would do? You know,
Sorry if I'm understanding you correctly. So your commissioning provider would develop a plan and a report for you of all of those different measures, strategies that they've identified. Absolutely. Right. And then it would be up to you to act on those strategies with your CP. They would help you implement any of those identified processes.
Okay. So, and then when it goes into the persistence phase, the CP training, is that a person on site that would take the training courses that works for the company that has just done this program to maintain the systems and, you know, maintain our energy savings?
Again, I can't speak distinctly for the CPs, but I would imagine there's going to be somebody that's going to be there to help you through the process, boots on the ground, to try to
Okay.
realize all of those savings. Absolutely. Again, I think that's going to depend on the contract and strategy that you've developed with your CP.
Oh, okay.
But they are all, well educated and fantastic firms that we've worked with, got feedback for. They're absolutely going to help you out through the process and have some robust plans established for you.
Okay, and one last question. If we were to do the investigation phase, does that lock us into actually going and okay.
No, that's a great question. So
Oh.
no, it does not. It doesn't
Okay.
lock you into the process or the overall, jump from phase to phase here. We do heavily encourage that anybody pursuing that investigation phase does proceed through the program. But there are no commitments made phase to phase.
Yeah, because I'm just not sure on each building site that we would have if there is an issue to a degree that the cost would, say yes or no to. So perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the questions. Oh, great. And I see Cynthia in the chat here as well, too. She might be able to add a little bit more depth to some of the questions coming in. Thank you. I see a question from Christy here as well. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Cynthia's addressed it. Fantastic. Just to highlight for the group as well, there is no requirement that a participant needs to use the same CP through all phases as well. Great question. Sorry, finally from this point over, thank you for progressing the slides here. To proactively touch on a couple of the frequently asked questions we have. Again, I encourage you to ask any questions that you might have from your end, but some things that we've seen previously through the program and some of our engagements here, we want to cover through the next couple slides. So who is responsible for completing and submitting the application on the online portal? Again, as mentioned in the presentation, the commissioning provider will be the one that's signing the agreements and moving through these phases on your behalf. And what is the minimum facility electricity consumption requirement to participate in the program? Again, this is 750,000 kilowatt hour annual consumption. And should an application be submitted for each facility? Yes. Each application is tied to one facility. If you have multiple sites, there'd be multiple applications here. Next, Feldman's going to take the following slide.
I think in the previous slides we mentioned which are the eligible measures in the EBCx program. So we are touching base with some ineligible measures. The ineligible measures includes lighting projects, process load energy conservation measures, behind the meter generation projects, fuel switching measures funded under other save-on energy incentive programs. And next one is what is considered as eligible cost in EBCx program. So the eligible project costs include inspection and testing cost, analysis and energy conservation measure, design cost where applicable, and project management costs. Next slide.
Fantastic. On to the next slide here. So what are the approximate timelines for the review process? So should all the necessary information be made available for technical review, the following timelines can be expected. So your application will take roughly 2 weeks for processing. An investigation phase report will take 2 weeks. Implementation phase, again, another 2 weeks. Persistence phase, 3 weeks. And finally, incentive invoices per phase, roughly 1 week can be expected. Now, I saw a couple other questions come through here. I believe that was our last slide covered for the FAQ here. So I do encourage, if there are other questions, either raise your hand, throw it in the chat or the Q&A. The team will be reviewing and will take any sort of open question process here at the moment as well. And I see a hand up.
Yeah, hey, Brendan. I was just curious about a couple slides back. I think one of the ineligible measures was behind the meter like work. I was just curious to what that kind of entails. Behind the meter generation projects, yeah. The third bullet point.
That could mean like a solar PV or a cogeneration kind of plant.
Yeah, thank you, Megan.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Sorry, just looking through the chat here as well, too, if we can read any sort of questions. Oh, one's highlighted here for reading. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was one question about I guess, how the savings are tracked, and do you use Portfolio Manager? Cynthia responded that we'll get back to you after checking with the technical reviewers. Are buildings with mixed use cases still eligible? So a lot of condo buildings with some commercial space on maybe the first few floors.
Yes, Cynthia's very active in the chat there as well. Yes, they should be eligible. And if you have any specific questions for your individual use case, please reach out to us. Yeah, Cynthia's linked the email address in there as well too. Reach out to us with any specific examples. We're happy to get back to you on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that came through? Incentive questions as well. Might have joined a little bit late. Cynthia's tackled that one as well. I don't see anything. Oh, there's a Q&A button here as well. There's something. Portfolio manager question. Fantastic. We'll get back to you on that one as well. Wonderful. If there are no other questions, we can leave it here for a moment. Please feel free to raise your hand, drop anything in the chat. Oh, sorry, I see one here. Is there any consideration for district energy usage reduction? Sorry, could you give us a little bit more information on that one?
Yeah, sorry, that's a little off the wall here, but yeah, our buildings use district energy for cooling. So we don't actually have the equipment. So we make the savings reductions, and obviously they're running their equipment less, but like we have a district energy bill we would get. It's not electrical for us.
Interesting. I don't have an answer for that one. That's the first time that's come up. Let us get back to you on that. Yeah, if anybody else is in line with this as well or have a similar case, feel free to drop in the chat and we can get back to you with an answer.
Thank you.
Another question on eligibility, and I think this kind of ties back into the question we had about where does the funding come from earlier as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I see our remote First Nation commercial buildings eligible for these programs. Absolutely. As noted earlier in the presentation, if you are grid connected and you meet the minimum requirements for the program, you will absolutely be able to partake. As Felben noted earlier, this is a program run by the IESO Save on Energy program, so it is an Ontario-focused program. If you are connected, as you likely should be, and meet the requirements, absolutely, you can take advantage of the program. Again, encourage you to reach out through that email address. Any specific questions, we'll be able to look into your details and get back to you.
I got two hands up. Mike Edwards, did you want to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can.
The investigation phase, I'm just looking at the 3 phases on the website, and the investigation phase says prepare a report and draft a commissioning plan for that first 50 up to 50K. When you say a report, that's like the final commissioning report with the observations log and the ECMs, some calculations and savings estimated, I assume.
That's right.
And upon delivery of that, let's say it's 50K, it gets paid to the client. Like for me, let's say it's BMO, commissioning providers doing the work, maybe it's BJS, where I'm from. That check goes from who to who?
Everything will be run through the commissioning provider directly. That's right. So they will be making the submission. Absolutely.
Okay, so commissioning provider submits, that check goes to the commissioning provider's name on the check.
I believe that's correct. Cynthia, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Actually,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, the incentive will go direct to the customer.
Right, you'll have a client representative contact name in the finance team or something like that. Okay.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
that's fair. Second question, real quick, difference between persistent savings, and it says that you get, some dollars, 30 up to 30% in the persistence phase. What's the difference between how we prove savings through persistence versus the 12-month performance, implementation savings we identify, confirmed energy savings? So like additional savings above and beyond the first implementation phase savings confirmed?
Yeah, I believe it'll be after that 12-month review period. We'll look at existing or persistent savings beyond that and evaluate at that moment.
So driving further savings, ironing out the final
ongoing savings. Absolutely.
Savings. Okay, but not
is
like
it really
every year? Same, like say it stays the same the second year, which is good. You don't get any credit for that, or you're getting credit double, year over year for the same savings, let's say.
I think it's the same savings, that it's persisting. So you measure on the first year, you're going to continue measuring to make sure that those changes you
Maintaining.
implemented do
Absolutely.
yes, persist.
Okay, I mean, that's pretty easy. Hopefully it just sticks for a year. That's good. And then requirements for proving that was the same similar question, but requirements for proving the MNB savings for the second phase. I can probably look into the requirements guide, but it just broadly says confirmed energy savings. I assume that's metered. What about calculations? Do you accept detailed engineering calculations? Maybe it's measure by measure. I don't know. City.
Yeah, I think we'll have to work directly with our technical review team to look at those plans and make sure we confirm everything through. But if you want to reach out to us afterwards, we can dive into the details more specifically there. But yeah, it's going to be based on that report, savings and MV requirements as defined.
Awesome. Thank you for taking all those questions. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And Cynthia, thank you for the clarification earlier. Sorry for my mistake.
Well, the next hand up we have was Nathan.
Hey, good morning. Thank you. My question actually is related to the, I guess the portal where the application is made and so the CXP is doing all the application and everything. Is the client able to do that on the portal, or it has to be the CXP? So that's my first question. I'm just thinking like just to save cost on the client side, but because then that effort goes to the CXP. And then the follow-up would be like, if you have a different CXP for the different phases, how does that work? If the CXP is doing the application, how does that carry through the portal?
So two-part question. Yes, has to be a CP that's submitting through the portal. And yeah, as noted, there is no requirement to use the same CP, and there'll be an individual application for each phase. So we'll be able to handle it from an application to application basis.
Okay, so it's kind of like 3 separate applications.
Yeah, we'll have
Okay.
projects kind of tied, linked together throughout the program as well too. So we'll be able to kind of connect those dots through the program.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. Great question.
Thanks.
Another
Then we
hand
have Zamani.
It's Mahbuba. So on one slide, I saw that lighting projects are not eligible, but so among those 10 most common measures, I think I saw eliminating unnecessary lighting. So does that mean daylight harvesting would be eligible?
Yes, if I'm understanding your question correctly, so say lighting retrofits would not be eligible for the program, but right sizing and optimizing your lighting use case would be eligible for the program.
Right. And and optimizing zone and setbacks, like set points, it's like anything from the BAS perspective, the scheduling and programming.
Absolutely. Again, right sizing your use cases here. Does that answer your questions? I think so.
It looks like most of these common measures are low cost, no cost sort of operational changes.
Absolutely. That's right. Again, utilizing your energy in the most efficient way possible and identifying your best practices. That's right. Don't see any other questions or hands rolling in. Just checking through the different sections. No, wonderful.
There's one more.
Yep. Oh, perfect. Are all these references in these slides to energy savings, exclusive to electricity savings and benefits? Yeah, great question. So just electrical savings. So through your different phases or through your investigation phase, you may identify other opportunities. However, this is a IESO Save on Energy run program, so we will only be able to identify and incentivize electrical savings. That's right. Sorry, another question.
Yeah, how does this program different from the energy performance program?
Ooh, great question. I am not an expert in the EPP program as well. I'm not sure if there's somebody on the call that might be able to handle that, but from my overview, and again, someone jump in, correct me if I'm wrong here, but EBCx is for those low cost, no cost process improvements. EPP is a more, say, generic open program that might be able to incentivize all of your projects. Yeah, I saw Monica kind of come off camera. Maybe I'll hand it to you there. You can handle that a little bit more in depth.
No, I think that's perfect. The way I see it is that EBCx I view as more of a tune-up of your buildings, and with EPP, it's more of a portfolio basis. So that includes all the measures and all the undertakings for energy efficiency that you do within the building. And the time frame is a little bit different. I believe with the EPP, it's for 3 years, and you have to commit to 5% energy savings. There's also a minimum threshold that you would have to reach.
I believe in that program, you can combine your facilities to meet the minimum threshold as well.
Up to 5 buildings, I believe.
Okay, great. I'm getting fed a couple of the clarifying notes here as well too. So you have to commit to participate for 3 years and commit to a realized minimum 5% energy savings per facility within 2 years. Just to quote some of the highlight notes. Thank you for that. Great question. And we'll pause here. Anything else that's going to come in? Okay. If there are no other questions, Megan, maybe we can flip to the last slide here. We can provide a few different contact points for us. I highly encourage you to either reach out to your commissioning provider, go through the qualified commissioning provider list, or encourage whoever you're working with as well to engage with the program, potentially sign up. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to us. You can scan the QR code here for more information for Save on Energy programs, or reach out to us directly at ebcx@ieso.ca. Happy to take any individual kind of application or site-specific questions you may have. With that, Megan, I can throw it back to you to end us off here.
Thanks, Brennan. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It was a very engaging conversation. There is a QR code there to sign up for Save on Energy's quarterly business newsletter. I also just want to point out on the Save on Energy website, there is a tab at the top, similar to what Brennan walked us through earlier on how to access the programs. There's also a training and support page. We have a lot of additional resources, webinar recordings, and a training calendar. So Save on Energy does provide no-cost training, as well as incentives for some training certification programs. So if you're interested in that, go take a look.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Fantastic questions, and really happy to see everyone.
Take care.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. There's a question in the chat.
Yeah. Can you confirm the difference requirements for quantifying savings, persistent savings versus performance period savings?
I already asked this question, but it sounded like there was sort of differing comments, so I just dropped it in there thinking it could be an after the fact question, but because it's yeah.
Absolutely. We'll look into it, get a specific answer for you. We can send that out afterwards. Thank you.